Welcome everyone to Lessons from the Field. As I hope you know, this is a series of interviews that we do with a diverse array of guests, all of whom who have a common interest and passion for pharmacy and pharmaceutical sciences. And today we're featuring Dr. Shally Alendry Voit, who is a graduate of our PharmD program in 2014. She is currently Senior Safety Data Scientist at AbbVie. And I'll be asking Dr. Voit some series of questions here, and I know that our listeners will gain a lot of insight from her career experiences and her advice, and whether you're a student, alumni, or friend of the college, thanks for listening in. So Shally, why don't we go ahead and get started? If you could, well, I guess first I was going to ask you to just give us a real brief overview of what you've been doing since you left UIC, and then after that I'll ask you more details about what you do on a daily basis. So.
Yeah, for sure. So thank you for having me. Before I start,
Absolutely.
A little bit to start out with a little bit of what I'm doing right now, or what I did after graduation is started when I was in pharmacy school. So as a P1, for my AP rotation, I actually shadowed a pharmacist in the VA she was working in the ambulatory care setting. And that's when I kind of started my mind up that after graduation, I wanted to be a clinical ambulatory care pharmacist. So during my 4 years, I prepped to become a clinical pharmacist. And then once I graduated from pharmacy school, I actually did a residency up in Fayette Hospital in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, where I did a PGY1 for ambulatory care pharmacy. And the way it gave me the opportunity to basically shadow in different clinics and get experience in different disease states. And then after the residency, finalize what area would I want to practice in. So that was a really nice opportunity. And during that residency, I really got to like being in immunology clinics. So more so rheumatology clinics and gastroenterology clinics. So you have your chronic medication, hypertension, hyperlipidemia, but the way it was different for these two clinics was that they involved specialty medications. And so with specialty medications, you require special handling of the medication. There are different side effects associated with it. It requires different lab monitoring, different vaccine monitoring. And then there are different long-term side effects too. So that got me more interested. And hence, as I was finishing my residency, I was approached by some of the pharmacists from Northwestern Medicine in downtown Chicago that they're actually opening up a specialty pharmacy over there, and if I could help them build that pharmacy. So that was a perfect opportunity. I was finishing my residency and I took that opportunity. So I was one of the many pharmacists that we all got together and built that pharmacy. So my focus was on the immunology clinics again, because I liked it during residency and I wanted to continue with immunology clinics. And so again, focusing on rheumatology and gastroenterology. And as I kind of mentioned, we were opening up a new specialty pharmacy. So we had to develop new relationships with physicians, new relationship with nurses. And so there was, again, a great opportunity as well as a good learning perspective of how you develop new relationships and how you integrate yourself in the already built workflow that these clinics and physicians had. So we all together, as all these pharmacists developed workflow of how pharmacists would be integrated in the clinic workflow, how we would be providing medication education visits, how we'll be monitoring labs, and how we'll be following up with these patients. Again, as a part of building a new specialty pharmacy, one of the other things that I got to experience was accreditation process. So each specialty pharmacy, it's good to have accreditation. And so I was involved in writing policies and procedures to get our pharmacy accredited. And then as I kind of was practicing in these clinics, I got to meet medical science liaisons for various specialty pharmacy. And at that point of time, I realized, okay, as a pharmacist, I can also be in pharma industry and still make a difference in patient life or in patient care in an indirect way. And hence, due to needing more flexibility in work-life balance, I made the switch from clinical pharmacist into pharma industry. And when I was applying into industry jobs, I was looking at medical science liaison, but my current position of safety data scientist also was very, it fit well with what knowledge I had through my residency and my Northwestern career, and hence I applied for that, and I was given the opportunity to start this position over here, and I've been in this position for 3 years now.
Great. Really, the experience of building a whole new specialty pharmacy and to start from the ground up, that really must have been exciting and a great experience.
For sure.
It then gave you a lot of experience that you could use in your current position too.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess the next thing I wanted to ask though was, so you've taken us up to the point of kind of your new position, but maybe tell us more about that and what do you actually do on a day-to-day basis, and you know, what are the key functions that you have as a person in this job?
So I'll explain a little bit about pharmacovigilance. So if you look into an industry, the industry has different departments, and one of the department is research and development. And then within the research and development, you have people working on having an efficacious drug, having an efficacious medicine, but at the same time, you want that same drug and medicine to be safe too. And so that's what we focus on, the safety. And that's what pharmacovigilance is about. So it's the activities where we collect, we analyze, and then we monitor the adverse effects of a medicine or anything unusual with the medicine. So basically, as in my current role, we start monitoring safety when the medicine enters phase 2 clinical trials. So immunology, because I focus on immunology products, for immunology products, phase 1 is on healthy subjects. So yeah, there is safety associated in those two, but not as much as when you actually start administering in the patient population. So we start monitoring safety in phase 2. A little bit about how we collect adverse events from clinical is definitely different than how you collect adverse events from post-marketing data, because when you have clinical trials going on, you have close relationship with the investigators, so you can collect additional information about adverse effect. And so collecting these adverse effects, utilizing different algorithms to identify frequency of these adverse effects, and then possibly assessing if these adverse effects are related to our medicine, to the medicine that's being studied, or if it's related to patients' comorbidities or patients' other medication that they're taking. So that's what our job does, assessing these adverse effects and if it's related to the medicine that's being studied. And then as we are doing this for phase 2, phase 3, basically we're trying to get the data ready for submission. And so as a senior data scientist, I also help out in submission where we do the new drug application to FDA and also to the EMA, which is European Union, and then other countries too, Japan, example, Canada, and other countries. So then once we submit and then once we get approved, we don't stop over there. We continue our surveillance as the medicine now goes in the post-marketing phase. Post-marketing phase is a little bit different because you are not in a relationship with the investigator. You get real-world data from the patient, from the physicians. So the data is not the most clear-cut, but you still have to analyze that data and make sure that any of the adverse effect that you are getting is associated with your medicine or not. You also are using algorithms to determine frequency. And so you work closely with stats to analyze your data too. So again, in a nutshell, it's surveillance of cases, surveillance of adverse effects, and doing making sure that your medicine is safe. And if you do identify any adverse event that could be related to your medicine, then we write a white paper where we agree that, okay, yeah, this adverse event could be related to our medicine, and then that gets put into the label for that medicine.
Great. So, wow. I was telling you a little bit earlier about what our students currently take in terms of courses that give them a little bit of background in this area. And, I think it's such it's important area that not just in pharmaceutical industry, but, there's opportunities for careers in FDA, CROs, clinical research organizations, and others, even in hospitals where you have patient safety pharmacists. So I guess the next two questions I want to ask you are kind of related. The first I'll ask you first is just when you were here, how did your experience prepare you for what you're doing now, or even, what you did at Northwestern with the specialty pharmacy? But then next I want to ask you, how do you stay up on that knowledge, and how do you stay relevant? Because you're obviously in a very different area than you were before, although, there's some relation, but I'm sure you had to learn a lot, and then you have to keep up on that. But let's start with the first one, your time at UIC.
For sure. So definitely UIC prepared me clinically to know the drug mechanism of action, to know the drug-drug interactions, how to research on a clinical topic. But apart from that, I was involved in various organizations like APHA, IPHA, even in the student council. That gave me an overall, basically that helped me be more organized, that helped me in learning what time management is, because even in my current role, I will be assigned many projects at the same time. And yeah, you can use your clinical knowledge, but at the same time, like, you need to make sure how to have your time organized for the various meetings that you need to attend every single day, the different projects that you're given, and which project you'll do first. So definitely being involved in the different organization at UIC definitely helped me to become more organized and just challenged me to be a whole person overall.
So then how do you stay up on do you have advice for, because some of the listeners may not just be students, but recently graduated or alumni like you, that how do you stay up? What's the best way to continue to expand your knowledge and expertise?
For sure. As I kind of was mentioning already, I was involved in APHA, ASHP at UIC. So I continued that during my residency and my time at Northwestern Medicine. And that was more focused on clinical pharmacy. So definitely keeping up with that membership, attending events if you can. I know sometimes conferences, you don't get time to attend the big conferences, but again, being a member, you will find out that they offer like different courses here and there that you can take and that just build up clinically in your area. You might not be able to do it for every area, but for example, I was more focused on immunology, so I would choose those classes that would be focusing on that. So that was more so like when I was a clinical pharmacist at Northwestern. You're right. That was a learning curve when I changed from clinical pharmacy to industry. I didn't know what pharmacovigilance was, and I had to learn up on that. So basically, when I got into industry, you have to learn that there are different companies that focus on pharmacovigilance. So, for example, DIA, which is Drug Industry Association, and so basically finding those other other organizations that focus on that, and you take courses that will help you learn. Definitely. So for pharmacovigilance, you had to learn the different rules and regulations that involves with clinical trials, that involves with post-marketing surveillance, and so. Apart from that, again, I also did membership of US pharmacist subscription, specialty pharmacy time subscription, CCO, which is clinical overview subscription. So doing different subscription, and they will send you reminders of different classes that they have going on. And again, if it interests you, definitely sign up for those.
Yeah.
So yes.
Well, that sounds great. Great advice. I guess I was going to kind of combine a couple of questions here too, but on one hand, I wanted to ask you, like, given your experience, whether it's in the work that you did at Northwestern or your current position, where you see pharmacists having the most impact, but then maybe you can also reflect on your own career and where you felt you've kind of had the most impact or satisfaction, or kind of maybe what gets you up in the morning, that makes you keep going.
UIC prepares us for the clinical knowledge that we're supposed to have, which is great. And then your API rotations prepare you for developing that professional skills that you need for the communication. For example, I had various rotations throughout my API where I communicated with different physicians, different nurses for patient care. Kind of coming into industry, you still need that communication level. So I work really closely with my physician. We both support the same product, medicine. And so she still looks up to me for my clinical judgment, clinical knowledge. So that relationship that you build with physicians and them having that trust, and them asking you to do that analysis for you so that they can use it for the product's benefit, for the medicine's benefit, that keeps me going, that you're using the knowledge that you gained from the 4 years, but building that relationship with your physician, and that kind of promotes our profession too, that the physicians need us, that the physician trusts us.
Yeah, so true. Well, your advice and review of your experiences, I think, really helpful for our students. And I guess maybe as we wrap up, could ask you one last question, and just kind of reflecting back on your time at UIC and the experience that you have gained, and putting all that together, what would you recommend for pharmacists who are just starting out? Whether it's a student who's, trying to figure out classes, or APPE rotations, and how do they build an area of interest, and then a career, or folks that have recently graduated. We just had graduation last week, and are still kind of finding their way. What advice do you have for them?
As I kind of mentioned in my career path, I was so focused on being a clinical pharmacist, and then out of the blue, I changed and go into pharma industry. So definitely, I mean, definitely the first and foremost is networking. Definitely do your networking by being involved in various organizations that UIC has to offer, and get to learn what other functions you can, or where you can contribute as a pharmacist, and then pick what you want to do. But kind of like me, if you do want to change in the middle, it is possible, because you have the clinical knowledge. You just have to build a different you just have to use that knowledge and build a few other functions, or build a new, learn up a little bit, and then you can change. But again, as a pharmacist, you will keep on impacting patient care, either direct way or indirect way.
That's such good advice. I mean, I think that maybe all of us, but particularly early in your career, you may have less self awareness of your abilities, and maybe assume that you can't just move into industry and start doing patient safety or drug safety, when you don't necessarily have a lot of background or experience in that. But the training that you get as a pharmacist, especially if you did a residency, you are prepared to do that kind of thing. And a lot of the techniques and knowledge are transferable. And so you're a good example of that. Well, thank you so much for sharing with us today. I think we covered a lot of ground there. I think it's going to be very useful to those who are listening.
Thank you. Thank you again for having me and for this opportunity.
Absolutely. And I look forward to talking to you in the future. I know you just had a baby recently, and congratulations. And
thank you.
Maybe that's a future student that we'll have in pharmacy school. We start recruiting early, so we'll have to send you, some paraphernalia, get them started young.
For sure.
But thank you so much.
Thank you.